Hey everyone, today I'm going to be going over this Jelly Mini E5 game console by GameMT, and I got this on AliExpress. Now these go for around $30 to $40 depending on the seller. Now this is supposedly also a power bank console, however you have to have your own wires with it. It does come with USB-C wire, but if you need a lightning cable then you'll have to supply your own. It also comes with a screen protector, which I've already applied, and it fits perfectly. Now, it has a pretty interesting button layout. There's a joystick and there's a D-pad. However, the D-pad is just a round circle, really, so I don't really know what the point of it is. There's also like this plastic cover on it. I don't know if that's supposed to come off or be there, but I've left it on for now. There's also a menu button and a start. There's also a select and start button, however, it's labeled T and K. And the actual plastic used on the body feels pretty cheap. I would say if it dropped, it probably would break. And I will not be testing it to find out. On the top, you have two USB-C ports, one for charging, one for accessories, headphone jack, HDMI out port, and a micro SD card slot. There's nothing on the bottom, but on the side there is an RGB light. It is off right now, but while it's charging, it will slowly load up and kind of show you what percentage the charge is at. On the other side, you have power and volume. Now, the D-pad's pretty interesting because it looks like a D-pad, but then when I put it at this angle, it's just a circle. Like, it's not an actual D-pad, it's just one big circle. And you also have this joystick and 4 buttons, and then a T and a K. I think that's supposed to be start and select, and then a menu button. And then obviously here is the actual UI. The very first tab is all the games. Then you can do sort, and you can go by all the different emulators. These are all the different emulators it comes installed with. You can also search for games. You can also make game collections. Now it's empty, but let's say you want to make like a racing game section. History for any games you might have played already. And then we have settings, which is just being able to change the language. Let me see how many different languages. So these are all the different languages it supports. And you can change the volume from there as well, brightness, and you can do a factory reset. There's also this ROMs tab, and I'm not really sure what that's supposed to be. I guess if you want to add your own ROMs, you could do that. But anyways, there's also music on the menu. Let me play it for just like a second. Yeah, you get the idea, but I'm turning it off now, so it's not too annoying. And it's definitely a unique console. Now, this is supposed to be a 5-inch screen, and for all these retro consoles, I feel like that's really awkward because they're not widescreen games, obviously. They're more like the old-fashioned, I think the ratio is 4:3, just the square. But anyways, let's try out a few different systems. I want to try Gameboy Advance first. Now, most of the other power bank consoles I reviewed struggle with Game Boy Advance, so I'll just try this out. Actually, one more thing before I forget. The back has some more information on the actual build of the console. So it is called the E5, and it has a 6,000 milliamp battery. Now, of course, be sure to use those lower power chargers. A lot of people like to say that consoles blow up because they use the fast charger, but obviously all of these aren't made to use fast chargers. So be careful with that. If you use the correct charger, you should be fine. And I'm going to test Castlevania Circuit of the Moon, as this is one that usually struggles on these power bank consoles, but here it seems to be actually running pretty well. Of course, this is only the beginning of the game, and I'm usually bad at it, but that's okay. Oops. Now I'm gonna go ahead and skip to the next part, because that's usually where it really starts to lag, is this next screen. So it seems to be running a lot better on here, which I'm kind of surprised, because usually it lags right around here. Now, when you hit the menu button, you'll get these options: return the game, save progress, load, handle set. Now, I noticed there's this different ratio button, but whenever I click on a different setting, it doesn't change. So, pushes B to choose, but then it didn't change. So, I guess still on 4:3. So let me try Nope, still on 4 to 3. So I'm not really sure how you're supposed to change this. And I'm not sure if the red is the actual selector or if it's the white. But either way, I've tried both and it doesn't seem to change the ratio. So there's that. Now, another thing I want to do really quick is the Hamtaro test. And that's another GBA game. And usually what it is on these power bank consoles is that they struggle to load this game in particular if they don't have enough like processing power. So I just want to check that out, see if it works. I probably won't, but it'd be really cool. I'd be very surprised if it did. Obviously the screen is still very stretched for Game Boy Advance games, but I'd say it's still doable. It's just a little bit awkward and stretched. So again, right here on the loading screen for this game, usually if there's not enough processing power, it'll get stuck right after this. So let's try it out. And it's not loading. So usually it would boot right into the opening sequence, but it's not, so it doesn't have enough processing power for that. However, Castlevania seemed to run fine, so maybe this will be the only game with this issue. I'm not sure, but it doesn't have enough power for that. Now, of course, you could always get around it by just loading a save that is well past the loading screen or the starting screen, but that's a lot of work, especially if you only have one console. And next, we'll just try Contra to test out this strange D-pad. I don't think it'll be well, but especially since it's just a circle. And of course, you can always use the joystick as a D-pad instead, but that's the general how to look. Now just testing some PS1, and this is Tekken 3. It was under the PS1 section. Okay, so obviously fighting games aren't going to load very well. Unfortunately for PlayStation, I didn't expect it to, but I figured I'd give it a try, especially since the console came with this on there. But you get the idea. So it's going to lag a lot. I feel like I accidentally left out the back of the console too, so the trigger buttons are like kind of curved like this, and there's also a kickstand on the back, and the speakers have MT kind of like carved into them, which is kind of weird, but whatever. And the kickstand's actually pretty good. It's easy to come out, and it does stand nicely, so there's that. But overall, I don't really recommend this console, just because even just for a few dollars more, if you save up, you'll be able to get something much better for around like, $50, $60 from Amberneck or Miu or anything like that, especially when they have sales. So I don't recommend this. Clearly, unless you just solely want to purchase this for collection purposes, then go right ahead. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.